welcome to the Sea of Trees. Tonight, we'll take a slow and peaceful walk through the Aokigahara forest, nestled quietly at the base of Japan's Mount Fuji. Here, time feels different. The air is still, the moss is thick beneath your feet, and ancient trees arch above like a protective canopy of green and shadow. Aokigahara is unlike any other forest in the world. Formed atop a hardened field of lava nearly 1,200 years ago, its roots grow tangled over black volcanic rock. The soil here is young, but the forest feels old, whispering stories through the wind, through the creak of cedar branches, and the rustle of distant leaves. There are no large predators here, no bustling cities or loud roads, only quiet. The kind of quiet that wraps around you like a soft blanket. The only sounds are your breath, the hush of the trees, and the gentle stirrings of forest life as night begins to fall. As you listen, let your body grow heavier. Let your thoughts slow down, like water trickling over moss-covered stones. With each breath, you're sinking deeper into the green. And soon, we'll begin to meet the creatures who call this enchanted forest home. Just beyond the mist, in a quiet clearing, where moonlight filters through the branches, a figure emerges with quiet steps, careful, deliberate, almost dreamlike. It is the Sika Deer, one of Japan's most iconic and revered forest dwellers. The word Sika comes from the Japanese word for deer, shika. These elegant creatures have roamed the forests of Japan for thousands of years. Unlike larger deer species, Sika deer are relatively small and nimble, their bodies lightly built for slipping between narrow tree trunks and dense undergrowth. An adult male, known as a stag, stands just under 3 feet tall at the shoulder, with dark eyes, delicate hooves, and a sleek coat that changes with the seasons. In the warmer months, their fur is a reddish brown, dappled with white spots like scattered snowflakes across fallen leaves. This speckled pattern isn't just beautiful, it's a natural camouflage, helping them blend seamlessly into the sun-dappled forest floor. When winter arrives, their coat deepens to a rich chocolate brown or grey, growing thicker to insulate them against the cold winds blowing down from Mount Fuji. Sika deer are known for their vocal range. Yes, deer that vocalize. They communicate with a series of high-pitched whistles, soft grunts, and alarm barks. A startled Sika may let out a short, sharp bark before vanishing into the trees. During the autumn rut, stags produce long, haunting bugle calls that echo through the forest like distant flutes, their voices drifting over the moss and roots in search of a mate. These deer are both shy and bold. In temple towns like Nara, they famously mingle with humans, sometimes bowing politely in return for rice crackers offered by tourists. In Aokigahara, however, they remain more elusive, wandering the lava rock paths with quiet grace, feeding on fallen leaves, acorns, and low shrubs. Their antlers, worn only by males, are narrow, curved, and often swept back like branches sculpted by the wind. Once a year, after mating season, they shed these antlers, only to grow them back anew, larger and stronger with each cycle. It's a quiet rhythm of regeneration, mirroring the forest itself. But the Sika deer is more than just a creature of fur and bone. In Japanese mythology, deer are considered sacred messengers of the gods, especially in the Shinto tradition. To encounter one in a forest like Aokigahara is to witness a living spirit of the land, gentle, silent, and deeply connected to the pulse of nature. As we pause and watch the deer slowly nibble at a patch of ferns, the forest seems to hold its breath. Every step they take is careful, weightless, almost floating. And just like that, with a flick of the tail and a glimmer of moonlight on their coat, they disappear back into the shadows, leaving only hoofprints and hush behind. Take a moment to breathe in this stillness. We'll continue on soon, deeper into the forest, where more hidden lives await. Now let's follow the soft trail deeper into the trees, where the forest gets darker and the air cooler. Up in the canopy, a new guardian of the night watches from the shadows. As twilight deepens and the moss-draped branches grow darker, a hush settles across the forest. The insects still their hum, and even the trees seem to hold their breath. High above, perched on a crooked cedar limb, sits a silent sentinel of the night, the Ural Owl. With feathers the colour of winter fog, and eyes as deep and black as ancient ink. The Ural Owl is a creature perfectly woven into the tapestry of Aokigahara. Named after the Ural Mountains, this owl ranges from Eastern Europe through Siberia, Korea, and into Japan, where it finds quiet sanctuary in deep, old forests like this one. It is a large owl, standing nearly 2 feet tall, with a rounded head and no ear tufts, giving it a soft, moon-faced appearance. Its round, pale face is framed by a ring of delicate feathers known as a facial disc, designed to funnel the faintest sounds directly to its ears. With this natural amplifier, the owl can hear a mouse's footsteps beneath the leaves from dozens of feet away. But even more magical than its hearing is its flight. The Ural Owl moves through the forest in absolute silence. Its wing feathers are uniquely structured, with cone-like edges that break up the sound of air resistance. When it flies, there is no rustle, no flap, no whisper, just stillness, and then it's gone. This silence makes the Ural Owl a master hunter. It preys mostly on small mammals, mice, voles, and sometimes even frogs or birds. But unlike the fierce, dramatic strikes of hawks, the Ural Owl prefers patience. It waits, watches, and when the time is right, it glides down in a single, graceful swoop. The nests are often tucked inside the hollows of ancient trees or in abandoned woodpecker holes. Here, a female will lay a clutch of eggs and guard them with fierce devotion while her mate hunts and brings food. For all their mystique, Ural owls are deeply devoted parents, tending to their chicks with care and remaining together as mates season after season. Unlike some of their owl cousins, the Ural owl is not strictly nocturnal. It is crepuscular, most active at dawn and dusk when the forest glows with soft gold or dusky blue light. It is in these hours, when the world hovers between waking and sleep, that the owl is most alive. In Japanese folklore, owls are symbols of luck, protection, and wisdom. The word for owl, fukuro, can also be interpreted as no hardship when written in certain kanji, making them beloved symbols of comfort and peace. In the hush of Aokigahara, the Ural owl embodies this energy completely. Quiet, patient, wise, and present. As you walk beneath its perch, the owl watches, not with judgment, but with a kind of quiet understanding. A still presence in a still world. It will not call out again. It simply sits, feathers puffed against the cool air as time slows and softens. And so, we walk on, deeper into the folds of the forest, where more hidden lives rustle softly behind the leaves. We've wandered beside the sacred Sika Deer, stood beneath the watchful gaze of the Ural Owl. Now, the forest shifts just slightly. A flicker of movement, a shape between the trees, both real and imagined. At the edge of your vision, just beyond the trunks of twisted conifers, you catch a glimpse, red fur, white-tipped tail, and curious amber eyes. You stop, and so does it. For a moment, you simply watch each other. Then, with a blink, it vanishes between the shadows. You've just encountered the Japanese red fox, known in both the natural world and in folklore as kitsune. The Japanese red fox, or Vulpes japonica, is a subspecies of the common red fox. Though here in the mossy depths of Japan's forests, it seems to wear a different kind of magic. Smaller and slightly stockier than its western relatives, this fox has dense, silky fur, coloured in hues of russet, gold and cream. Its ears are sharply pointed, and its bushy tail, nearly the length of its body, helps it stay balanced and warm in chilly forest nights. Foxes are incredibly adaptable. Though often associated with grassy meadows or rocky hills, they've long made a home in forests like Aokigahara. Here, they slip between roots and shadows, using their keen sense of smell to hunt insects, berries, mice, and even fallen fruit. They're omnivores, opportunists of the quiet world. But more than any other animal, the fox exists in both fact and myth. In Japanese folklore, kitsune are spirit foxes, sometimes tricksters, sometimes protectors. And they are said to possess intelligence far beyond that of ordinary animals. And some stories even tell of kitsune that can take human form, usually appearing as graceful women, travellers, or silent shrine keepers who vanish as mysteriously as they arrive. In Shinto belief, the fox is a messenger of Inari, kami of rice, fertility, and prosperity. You'll often see stone fox statues flanking the red torii gates at Inari shrines, with red bibs tied around their necks as offerings. In these stories, foxes are not feared, but respected. They're wild, yes, but never without purpose. Japanese red fox doesn't hibernate in winter. It stays active, padding through snow or frost-covered moss, its paws barely making a sound. In summer, it naps curled beneath ferns or in cool burrows, emerging at dusk when the light is soft and golden. They're mostly crepuscular, like the Ural Owl, emerging in those liminal moments when the world begins to blur between day and night, sleep and wakefulness. Despite their quiet, foxes are social in subtle ways. Kits, or baby foxes, play together near the den while the parents take turns foraging. Their high-pitched yips and barks echo lightly through the forest, but never loudly, never intruding, just part of the background rhythm of the woods. As you walk onward, you might feel their eyes on you again, a sense that something just passed behind a tree. But when you look, nothing is there, just the trees, the wind, and the soft memory of a tail disappearing into moss. In the forest of Aokigahara, the line between nature and spirit is thin. The fox moves easily between both, like a breath of mist curling through the trees. Breathe in, let go. The forest has many more stories to tell. From the rustling fox trails, we now step downward, toward the damp, shaded floor of the forest. Here, the light grows dimmer. You feel a coolness rising from the ground, and the soundscape changes. Drops of water, the croak of something small, the whisper of ancient stone. Near the base of a moss-covered boulder, where tree roots sink deep into volcanic rock, you find a shallow stream. The water is cold and impossibly clear. Beneath the surface, something moves, slowly, deliberately. A tiny ripple, a flick of a tail. Then it emerges, the Japanese fire-bellied newt, or Synops pyrrhogaster. At first glance, this creature seems almost still, its textured skin blending perfectly with the stones around it. Its back is a dark, velvety black or earthy brown, speckled with faint dots that look like ancient lichen. But when it moves, a secret is revealed. Its underside flashes a brilliant, almost glowing shade of orange-red, like smouldering embers hidden beneath ash. This bold coloration is more than beauty. It's a warning. Fire-bellied newts secrete a toxin from their skin known as tetrodotoxin, the same potent substance found in pufferfish. While not dangerous to observe, it's a gentle reminder. Admire with your eyes, but let the wild remain untouched. These newts are part of the salamander family, amphibians who live dual lives, part on land, part in water. Most of the year, they dwell in moist leaf litter or beneath stones and fallen logs. But when the rains come and the forest floor is soaked, they return to streams and ponds to breed, gliding slowly through the water with paddle-like tails and tiny webbed feet. Their mating dance is a quiet one. The male approaches the female with subtle movements, swaying side to side, wafting chemical signals through the water like invisible poetry. If she accepts, she will lay delicate strings of eggs among submerged plants or moss, each one a little hope tucked into the shadows of the forest floor. Fire-bellied newts breathe through both lungs and skin, meaning they must stay moist to survive. The forest of Aokigahara is perfect for them, shaded, cool, and carpeted in water-loving mosses and ferns. Even on the driest summer days, the air here holds a deep, rooted humidity, an invisible cradle for amphibian life. They move slowly, rarely in a hurry, and there's something deeply comforting about that. To see a creature so small, so ancient, simply existing, inch by inch, without rush or noise, is to remember that not all life is measured in speed or sound. In traditional Japanese folklore, salamanders were once thought to be born from fire or lightning, though in truth they are creatures of water and silence. The fire in their bellies is not heat, but colour, an echo of nature's paradox. Danger cloaked in beauty, stillness wrapped in quiet power. As you kneel by the stream and watch the newt gently paddle beneath a leaf, you feel the earth's pulse, steady, unhurried. This is the rhythm of Aokigahara, ancient, soft, and very much alive. We rise slowly now, and the forest welcomes us back into its stillness. There's one last creature waiting to be found before sleep takes us fully. The forest floor feels colder, the wind quieter. We move slower, almost floating, as we follow a faint rustle through the undergrowth. Let's meet the last quiet soul of the night. Out from beneath the curled edges of bark and stone, a slender, silvery form weaves gently across the forest floor. It is the Japanese rat snake, known locally as Aodaisho, which means blue general, a name that carries a kind of nobility, earned not through aggression, but through quiet presence. This species, Elaphia clinicophora, is non-venomous, harmless to humans, and deeply beneficial to the forest's balance. It feeds on small rodents, birds' eggs, frogs, and sometimes even insects. In this way, the rat snake plays a humble but vital role, keeping populations in check, maintaining the harmony of the ecosystem, all without sound or spectacle. Its scales are smooth and glass-like, shimmering faintly in pale greens, soft greys and blue-tinted silvers. As juveniles, they're often mistaken for venomous snakes due to their darker patterning. But as they age, their bodies lighten and stretch, often reaching over 5 feet in length. Despite their size, they move with incredible grace, more like water than earth. The Japanese rat snake is a climber. With a body built for control, it can ascend trees to search for bird nests, coiling upward with precision and ease. Its muscles move like poetry, each curve of its body pressing gently against bark, rock or soil, feeling the world through constant touch. It is most active during the warmer months and rests during the winter in hidden crevices, under stones, or within hollow logs, entering a light hibernation known as brumation. Even in its stillness, the snake is alive, breathing slowly beneath the frost and snow, waiting patiently for the earth to warm again. Unlike the fire-bellied newt, the rat snake does not need moisture to survive, but it does seek warmth. Often, it is found basking quietly on forest paths at dawn, soaking in sunlight before disappearing back into the safety of the undergrowth. By night, it travels with soft certainty, listening to the vibrations of tiny footsteps beneath the ground. In Japanese culture, snakes are complex symbols, sometimes feared, but also respected. The rat snake in particular is often seen as a symbol of protection and good fortune, especially in agricultural communities, where it helps guard rice fields from rodents. Its presence is not just accepted, but welcomed. It does not strike unless cornered. It does not rattle or roar or bite without cause. It simply exists, ancient, quiet, purposeful. Now, as we watch it slip between two rocks and disappear into the leaf litter, we're left with a strange comfort. There's something peaceful about a creature that asks for nothing, yet gives so much simply by being. The forest is still again, only the soft breeze, the scent of moss and cedar, and the weight of your breath remain. You've now wandered deep into the sea of trees. You've seen what few ever do, not the haunted stories whispered by outsiders, but the real magic of Aokigahara, its delicate creatures, its living silence, its patient rhythm. Let your body rest now, like a stone settled in cool soil. Let your thoughts curl like roots beneath the forest floor. The animals are sleeping, the trees are standing guard. You are safe here. You are part of the forest now, and it's time to sleep. Here, almost invisible among the branches, lives a creature of near magical grace, a glider drifting softly between the trees like a whisper of wind. High in the treetops of Aokigahara, where even the breeze moves slowly, lives one of the forest's most elusive and enchanting residents, the Japanese giant flying squirrel, Pteropus leucogens. Despite its name, this creature neither flies nor scurries like its ground-bound cousins. Instead, it glides, effortlessly, almost invisibly, through the moonlit canopy, weaving between cedar trunks in near total silence. It is large by squirrel standards, up to 20 inches long from nose to tail, with a fluffy plume of fur trailing behind it, like a brushstroke of fog. Its dense, velvety coat is a mix of greys and soft browns, blending seamlessly with the bark and shadows of the forest. But what sets this squirrel apart, what makes it feel like a dream, half glimpsed, is its patagium, a thin, fur-covered membrane that stretches from its wrists to its ankles. When at rest, the membrane lies hidden, tucked neatly against the squirrel's sides. But when it leaps from a branch, and it often does, with calm confidence, it spreads its limbs wide and becomes a sail, a living kite, a floating leaf. With precise control, it can glide up to 100 meters through the air, steering with its limbs and tail to land softly on another branch. It makes no sound, no squeak, no thud, just motion, and then stillness again. These squirrels are nocturnal, emerging only when the forest is cloaked in night. During the day, they rest in tree hollows, nesting in pockets of bark softened by time and rain. They often use old woodpecker holes, lining the interior with shredded bark, moss and fur to create a warm, safe den. A mother will curl tightly around her young, shielding them from the chill of high-altitude forest winds. The diet of the Japanese giant flying squirrel is varied but peaceful. Tender young leaves, buds, fruits, and occasionally tree bark. It feeds slowly, carefully, with dexterous little paws holding branches like chopsticks. When it chews, it does so with total focus, often pausing between bites to listen, ears perked with the distant rustle of wings or the drip of rain on leaves. Despite their shy nature, these squirrels are surprisingly social. Mated pairs often share a nest, and in some cases, small groups will forage in the same tree, maintaining a quiet awareness of one another's presence. They communicate with soft chirps and whistles, barely audible over the sound of the wind in the trees. Their calls are brief, just enough to say, "I'm here." In Japanese culture, flying squirrels are sometimes seen as messengers from the spirit realm, guardians of the twilight. In ancient poems, their gliding forms are compared to falling cherry blossoms or drifting snow. And here, in Aokigahara, a forest already steeped in mystery, they embody that rare, ephemeral beauty that cannot be held, only witnessed. If you're lucky and you sit still long enough beneath the branches, you may see one pass overhead. A shadow, a pause, a flash of fur and silence that slips through the trees like a breath, and then it's gone. But even long after the squirrel has vanished, the memory of its grace lingers, like mist caught in cedar branches, like a dream that refuses to fade. Take a deep breath, let it out slowly. We're still just beginning our journey. The soil is soft and volcanic, and if you're quiet, very quiet, you may spot a shape shuffling gently between tree trunks and stones. Something earthy stirs beneath a curtain of ferns. Not all of Aokigahara's creatures soar through the treetops or glide from branch to branch. Some live low, close to the soil, beneath layers of moss and shadow, moving through the forest with patience and care. One such inhabitant is the Japanese badger, or Meles anakuma. Often misunderstood, the anaguma is not aggressive or loud, but rather a gentle, reclusive animal, shaped by the rhythm of the forest. It has a stout body covered in coarse greyish-brown fur, with a black and white facial mask that gives it a wise, almost ancient appearance. Its legs are short and powerful, perfectly suited for digging, and its long claws are used not for fighting, but for building. Unlike its European relatives, the Japanese badger tends to be more solitary. It lives alone or in small family units, quietly burrowing into the volcanic soil to create a series of tunnels called ascets. These burrows are often well hidden beneath tree roots or between rocks, with entrances camouflaged by fallen leaves. Inside, the tunnels are cool, dry, and winding, safe havens from the elements and larger predators. The badger is nocturnal, emerging only under the cover of darkness. It moves with a rolling gait, low to the ground, but surprisingly quick. Its nose, long and sensitive, twitches constantly, sifting through the forest air for the scent of food. It is an omnivore, feeding on a varied diet of earthworms, beetles, berries, roots, and fallen fruit. In the autumn, it gorges on chestnuts and persimmons to build fat for the colder months. Despite its digging talents, the Japanese badger does not hibernate fully. Instead, it enters a state of torpor, a light, flexible sleep where it slows its heart and breathing, only waking on warmer days to forage briefly before returning to rest. In the quietest part of winter, the badger becomes part of the land itself, buried, resting, waiting for spring. Its senses are finely tuned. It sees well in low light and hears the faintest movements beneath the soil, but its most powerful sense is smell. With it, the badger maps its territory, marks its trails, and finds distant caches of food. Its mind remembers these locations with precision, navigating the maze of roots and stones with a confidence born from instinct. Though shy, badgers are not defenseless. When threatened, they may growl or stamp, but more often they rely on their tunnels, retreating into darkness where no predator dares follow. They are survivors, not warriors. In Japanese folklore, the badger is often confused with the Tanuki, a more mischievous forest creature known for its shape-shifting abilities. But the anaguma has its own quiet dignity. It represents endurance, stability, and a grounded connection to the earth. Where the Tanuki plays tricks, the badger listens. Where others chase the wind, the badger digs deep. To spot one is rare, but their presence is always near. In the soft mounds of turned earth, the faint scent of fur on the breeze, the quiet trails pressed into wet leaves. And so we step softly now, allowing the forest to breathe around us. We're not just visitors here, we're part of the quiet, part of the watching. The surface of Aokigahara is rich with mystery, but below it there is another forest, one without trees, without light, and without sound. Let us follow the trail of a silent engineer of the deep. Beneath the tangle of roots and moss in Aokigahara, past the jagged lava stone and rich volcanic earth, lives a creature few will ever see with their own eyes. The greater Japanese mole, or Megara wagura, is not a myth nor a phantom. It is simply hidden. And that, for the mole, is perfectly natural. Roughly 6 to 7 inches long, with a body shaped like a velvet torpedo, the mole is perfectly designed for a life underground. Its fur is short, soft, and reversible, meaning it can move forward and backward through tight tunnels without catching on the soil. Its front limbs are wide and paddle-shaped, with long claws that act like miniature shovels, and its eyes, barely visible, are reduced to tiny, covered slits, capable of detecting only the faintest light. But what it lacks in sight, it more than makes up for with touch and vibration. The mole's nose is an incredible tool, a sensitive, star-shaped organ that feels the world in patterns of texture and temperature. Tiny sensory hairs across its snout and body can detect the movement of insects, the warmth of a nearby root, or the presence of moisture in the soil. The greater Japanese mole is a true subterranean specialist. It constructs elaborate networks of tunnels just below the surface, some for travel, others for trapping prey. Earthworms, grubs, beetle larvae, and even centipedes make up its diet. With every movement, the mole reshapes the soil, turning over layers of rich volcanic material and aerating the forest floor. It is a creature of darkness, yes, but also a gardener, a sculptor, a caretaker of the land beneath the land. In wetter months, its tunnels may collapse or flood, sending the mole to higher ground or into a brief surface appearance, usually at night when the world is quiet. But most of the time, it stays hidden, a whisper underfoot, a breath in the earth. The soil of Aokigahara, born of ancient lava flows, is unlike most places in the world. It is loose, porous, and full of minerals, but low in nutrients, and yet life here adapts. The mole's presence is a sign of that adaptation. Its tunnels allow oxygen to reach plant roots, allow rainwater to trickle more deeply, and create safe channels for seeds to take hold. While often mistaken for rodents, moles belong to their own unique family, Talpidae, and are more closely related to shrews. Their teeth are sharp and well-formed, designed not for gnawing wood, but for slicing through soft-bodied insects. They live solitary lives, each mole maintaining a territory of tunnels, chambers, and feeding runs. There is no nest visible, no call, no footprint, but the forest remembers them. Every tree that thrives owes something to the unseen engineers below, who work tirelessly, silently, in a world without light. In Japanese culture, moles rarely appear in folklore, but in a forest like Aokigahara, their mystery gives them a quiet reverence. They are part of the living breath of the forest, not in the branches or canopy, but in the ground itself, the unseen heartbeat, the pulse of things growing in silence. As you take your next step, know that beneath you, life is moving, working, resting, dreaming in the dark. The mole does not seek the sky. It is content with the soil, stillness, the long, patient rhythm of the deep. Let's lift our gaze now from the hidden world beneath to the ancient sentinels that stand above us, tall, still, and breathing quietly through the rain. No tree embodies the soul of Aokigahara more deeply than the Japanese cedar. The Japanese cedar, or Cryptomeria japonica, is not just a tree, it is a monument, a being of stillness and time. Known in Japan as Sugi, this towering conifer dominates the vertical world of Aokigahara, rising like pillars through mist and shadow, their trunks wide and warm to the touch, their bark soft as woven cloth. Sugia can grow up to 70 meters tall, with some individuals living for over 1,000 years. Their reddish-brown bark peels in long, ribbon-like strips, revealing fresh layers beneath like pages in an ancient book. The bark is spongy and fibrous, and in the rain, it darkens to a deep mahogany, smelling faintly of resin, earth, and wood smoke. When touched, it gives slightly, as if the tree is breathing just beneath the surface. The branches of the Japanese cedar sweep outward, each limb adorned with dense clusters of needle-like leaves. Unlike the sharp needles of pines, sugi leaves are soft to the touch, arranged in delicate spirals, catching mist and droplets with ease. These leaves are evergreen, never falling all at once, but renewing gradually throughout the year, making the forest feel permanently dressed in quiet green. But the true majesty of sugi lies not in its height or color, but in its stillness. These trees do not hurry. They do not change with the seasons as quickly as others. They simply endure, watching, growing, stretching skyward at a pace too slow for the eye to measure. In Japanese culture, the sugi tree is sacred, planted along shrine paths and temple grounds, often lining pilgrimage routes for miles. Some of the oldest trees in Japan are sugi, lovingly named and protected for centuries. Their presence is believed to calm the spirit, absorb negative energy, and bring long life. To walk among them is to walk in the presence of something beyond human time. The wood of the sugi is light yet strong, resistant to rot and beautifully aromatic. For centuries, it has been used in temple architecture, traditional homes, and sacred altars. But here, in Aokigahara, the sugi stands untouched, not shaped into beams or carvings, but left to reach upward, unmeasured and free. In the rain, the forest of sugi becomes almost otherworldly. The sound of droplets tapping against bark and needles creates a natural symphony. The mist thickens around the trunks, hiding the tops from view. You feel small, but not in a way that is frightening. Small in a comforting way, like a single note in a long song, a necessary part of something much greater. Their roots, though shallow, spread wide, twisting over rocks, gripping volcanic soil, and weaving together with those of neighboring trees. They form a network, a silent communion beneath the ground, sharing water, nutrients, and signals of danger. The forest is not a collection of individuals, but a single breathing organism, and the sugi are its lungs. Stand here a moment longer. Feel the cool, damp air on your face. Smell the cedar. Hear the slow drip of rain from leaf to leaf. You are in the presence of giants, not loud, not boastful, but steady and wise. And they are watching over you. The forest has grown quiet, the canopy dim. Somewhere near your feet, nestled in a rain-polished leaf, a jewel of the forest is waiting. Hidden among the dripping foliage of Aokigahara, perched on a broad leaf or the bend of a branch, is one of the forest's tiniest but most enchanting voices, the Japanese tree frog, or Dryophytes japonicus. Known for its distinct call and almost invisible presence, this small amphibian is a master of disguise, sound and silence. Only about 3 to 4 centimeters long, no bigger than a thumb, the Japanese tree frog is perfectly built for a life in the trees. Its smooth, moist skin is usually a vibrant shade of green, though it can shift to brown or grey, depending on the light, temperature, and surrounding vegetation. This subtle colour change allows it to camouflage effortlessly, making it appear like a living leaf or a shadow on bark. Its toes are tipped with rounded adhesive pads, natural suction cups that allow it to cling to vertical surfaces, wet stems, and even the underside of broad leaves. With these tiny pads, the frog can climb with precision, never slipping even during a downpour. It is a creature of calm control, moving only when necessary, and always with grace. The Japanese tree frog is mostly nocturnal, becoming active at dusk when the forest cools and moisture hangs heavy in the air. It emerges from hiding places, under leaves, inside curled fern fronds, beneath bark, to forage for insects and tiny invertebrates, moths, mosquitoes, spiders, each caught with a quick flick of the tongue and swallowed silently. But perhaps the most magical trait of this frog is its voice. During the breeding season, males gather near still pools or rain-filled hollows to call. Their sound is not loud, no croaking or rasping, but a soft, rhythmic kero-kero, rising gently into the night. It echoes like a lullaby across the forest, layered and repeating, calling out to unseen mates in the darkness. Each frog's call is unique, and together they form a kind of sleepy chorus, gentle enough to calm the heart, precise enough to carry through the rain. In many parts of Japan, their song is considered a sign of coming rain and is tied to themes of romance and patience in poetry. Tree frogs lay their eggs in shallow water, attaching them to submerged leaves or floating debris. When the eggs hatch, tiny tadpoles emerge, legless, translucent, and perfectly adapted to water. Over time, they grow legs, absorb their tails, and rise out of the water as miniature frogs, beginning their quiet journey into the treetops. Though small, these frogs play a critical role in the forest ecosystem, keeping insect populations balanced, serving as prey for owls and snakes, and marking the health of their environment with their very presence. Amphibians are sensitive to change, and where tree frogs sing, the land is clean, the air is moist, and the balance is still intact. To see one is a rare gift, to hear them even more so. So listen closely now. Let the rhythm of the frog's voice settle over you. Let it echo through your breath, your thoughts, your dreams. In a forest shaped by stone and spirit, the smallest creatures often carry the most beautiful songs. In Aokigahara forest, trees may stretch high above, but it is the mosses and ferns that create the texture of the world around you. They are not background details. They are the breath between the roots, the hush between the footsteps. Over 150 species of moss grow here, more than in most forests across the globe. This is no accident. The volcanic soil, porous and rich in minerals yet low in organic nutrients, is a perfect cradle for moss. Add to that the steady rainfall, shaded canopy, and thick humidity of Aokigahara, and you get a forest floor that is more like a sponge than soil, a living carpet. Mosses have no roots, no flowers, no traditional veins to carry water. Instead, they absorb directly from the air and rain, pulling moisture into every cell like tiny green sponges. They grow slowly, infinitesimally so, sometimes just a millimeter per year, yet they cover everything: stones, tree trunks, fallen branches, even the very ground beneath your feet. Their colors vary: deep emerald, pale jade, golden olive, and their textures shift like fabric, some fine and feathery, others thick and velvety. When wet, they glisten, catching the filtered forest light like 1,000 tiny mirrors. When dry, they curl protectively inward, patiently waiting for the next rainfall. They do not panic, they simply wait. Beside them grow the ferns, one of the oldest plant families on Earth. Their lineage traces back over 300 million years, predating even the dinosaurs. In Aokigahara, they thrive in the shade, sprouting from stone crevices, sprouting between roots, curling up from mossy soil. Each frond unfurls in a slow spiral, like a fiddle's neck, in a process called cercinate venation, nature's spiral unfolding in perfect time. Ferns reproduce not by seeds, but by spores, tiny dust-like grains released into the air from the underside of their fronds. They float invisibly, carried by wind or water, sometimes landing on just the right patch of moist moss to take root. This quiet propagation, no flowers, no fruit, no noise, reflects the gentle tempo of the forest itself. To the eye, these plants seem simple, but their role is anything but. Mosses retain water, slowing its path down hillsides and into streams. They insulate tree roots from temperature extremes. They filter the air, the soil, and even heavy metals from the volcanic rock below. Ferns, with their wide green fans, create pockets of humidity and protection for insects, frogs, and even the young of newts and snakes. In Japanese tradition, moss is deeply symbolic, often seen in temple gardens as a sign of stillness, resilience, and ancient wisdom. In many poems, moss represents time, the kind of time that moves so slowly you don't notice it passing until the stone beneath it disappears. And in Aokigahara, time feels different. The moss does not rush. The ferns do not bloom overnight. Everything here takes the long path, the slow breath, the quiet growth. As you sit among them now, you may feel your own thoughts begin to slow, the edges of your mind softening like dew on leaves, your heartbeat sinking with the rhythm of things that do not speak, but never stop living. This is the forest's gentle foundation, software ancient, alive, and it welcomes you to rest. We've walked among trees, listened to owls, followed newts and frogs, but now we turn our gaze to the smallest survivors, the first colonizers of stone, quiet artists of the rock. Let's explore the lichens and volcanic shrubs of Aokigahara. Not everything in Aokigahara rises tall into the sky. Some of its most remarkable life clings low, to the ancient volcanic rock, to tree bark, to the edges of branches too thin to hold a leaf. And these are the lichens, volcanic shrubs, the quiet settlers of stone, the ones who begin where nothing else can grow. Lichens are not plants, nor fungi, nor algae, but all three working in harmony. A lichen is a symbiotic relationship, a living partnership between a fungus and a photosynthetic partner, usually an alga or cyanobacteria. Together, they form something entirely new, something strong, something enduring. They paint the lava rock in mottled blues, pale greens, soft whites, even rusty oranges. Some lie flat like dust, others puff upward like miniature coral. Still others curl in delicate patterns like paper scorched and folded by time. They're slow growing, some expanding only a millimeter per year, but incredibly resilient. They survive in cold, heat, wind, and drought. They can go dormant for years and return to life with the first drop of rain. In many places around the world, lichens are the first living things to appear after volcanic eruptions. In Aokigahara, their roots dig into the memory of eruption, into the stone left behind by Mount Fuji's last great breath over a millennium ago. They break down rock, molecule by molecule, turning lava into soil, and from that soil, new life begins. Among these cracks and pockets of earth, tiny volcanic shrubs begin to grow, low to the ground, with tough leaves and tangled roots. Species like Japanese Andromeda, Pieris japonica, dwarf bamboo, and Izo spruce seedlings creep in, slow but determined. They can survive poor nutrients, high humidity, and constant shade. Many of them evolved for this exact purpose, to take hold in places most life cannot. These shrubs may seem small, even unimpressive, but they are the pioneers, caretakers. Their leaves catch mist and send it dripping down to moss and roots. Their roots split rock further, opening more space for water and seed. They anchor the future, slowly transforming Aokigahara from stone to forest. Some are evergreen, some bloom briefly in the spring, white or pink bells hidden beneath branches. Others fruit silently, their berries eaten by birds and badgers, the seeds spread across the forest floor, each one a step in the forest's quiet, 1,000-year journey. To walk through Aokigahara is to walk over millions of lives so small you might never see them, and yet without them there would be no forest, no ferns, no cedars, no animals. These quiet colonizers are the foundation of the beauty above. In Japanese Zen gardens, lichen is left untouched, a living metaphor for patience and cooperation. It reminds us that greatness does not always announce itself, that transformation often begins in silence, and that even the hardest stone will soften, given enough time, water, and light. So now, as you rest beside the lava rock, cool, damp, and still, imagine the life moving within it. Tiny breaths, invisible tendrils, a green map slowly unfolding beneath your feet. Aokigahara is not built by storms or fire. It is built by the slowest forms of magic. And you're part of it now. A hollow in a tree, no larger than your hand, shelters a tiny bundle of fur, perfectly still, breathing gently, deeply. Among all the creatures of Aokigahara, there may be none so quiet, so tender, or so tucked away from the world as the Japanese Dormouse, or Glirillus japonicus. This rare and gentle creature is the only species of dormouse native to Japan, and one of the few mammals who live almost entirely in the treetops. Tiny in size, barely larger than a child's palm, the dormouse weighs no more than a few leaves. Its body is round and soft, cloaked in dense golden brown fur with a pale belly. But what draws the eye most is its tail, long, thick, and luxuriously fluffy, like a paintbrush dipped in honeyed light. Its large black eyes, perfectly suited for night, glisten with curiosity, and its tiny pink nose twitches constantly, reading the forest air for signs of safety or food. This dormouse is arboreal, meaning it spends nearly all of its life in trees, leaping between branches, scaling bark, and using its tail for balance as it navigates the high canopy of cedar and hemlock. It builds its nest in the hollows of old trunks or between thick limbs, weaving together moss, grass, feathers, and fur to create a sleeping chamber as soft as a cloud. And sleep is what the dormouse does best. For up to 7 months a year, during the cold and wet of winter, the dormouse enters hibernation. Not just sleep, but deep metabolic stillness. Its body temperature drops, its heartbeat slows. It curls into itself, tail wrapped like a scar, eyes closed to the world. It breathes just enough to stay alive. It dreams, perhaps, though no one can say what of. When spring returns, the dormouse awakens slowly, stretching, grooming, emerging only when the forest is softened again. It feeds gently on buds, berries, tender shoots, and sometimes insects. Every bite is precise, every movement cautious. It is never in a hurry. It knows the forest will wait. Unlike mice or rats, dormice are not rodents of scurry and panic, but of stillness and care. They move only when the moment is right, and when they sleep, they do so fully, without fear, without tension, as though the forest itself were cradling them. In Japanese folklore, the dormouse is a symbol of safe rest, of hidden comfort, and of the beauty of small lives lived quietly. To see one is a blessing, to sleep like one, a kind of peace. Here in Aokigahara, where silence falls like rain, the dormouse reminds us of something precious, that rest is not laziness, and stillness is not absence, that some of the most extraordinary lives are lived in soft shadows, curled beneath moss and wood, completely unseen. As we leave this moment, let us carry the dormouse's calm with us. Let us remember how to move gently, how to breathe deeply, and how to rest. A faint grunting sound, muffled by rain-drenched leaves. Something heavy but not hurried passes just beyond the ferns. In the hush of Aokigahara, where even whispers seem loud, the Japanese wild boar, Suscrofa leucomistax, moves with slow purpose. This is not a predator, not a scavenger, but a forager, an earth-turner, who shapes the forest in ways that are invisible at first glance. Broad-shouldered and short-legged, the wild boar is a creature of strength hidden within softness. Covered in coarse, bristle-like fur, ranging from dark brown to almost silvery grey, its thick body is built not for speed, but for resilience. Its snout is long and flexible, tipped with a cartilage disc that acts like a living shovel, used to dig, nudge, and root through the forest floor in search of hidden food. Despite its reputation in other parts of the world, the Japanese wild boar is shy, especially here in Aokigahara. It avoids humans and is most active at night, or during the quiet, mist-draped hours of dawn and dusk. Its presence is most often felt, not seen, in disturbed leaves, upturned soil, or faint tracks pressed into soft ground. The boar's diet is vast but gentle. Fallen acorns, roots, tubers, insects, fruits, mushrooms, and even small amphibians. But perhaps its greatest role is not in what it eats, but what it does to the earth itself. As it digs and roots, the wild boar aerates the soil, mixes organic matter, breaks up compacted earth, and creates small pockets for seeds to settle. Its movements help regenerate the forest, not through intention, but through instinct. Boars often move in small family groups called sounders, typically consisting of a mother and her young. Males live more solitary lives, wandering alone and appearing only briefly during the winter breeding season. A mother will fiercely protect her piglets, leading them carefully through the forest, nudging them with her snout to safety. In Japanese culture, the wild boar, inoshishi, is deeply symbolic. It represents courage, momentum, and determination. It is the 12th sign of the zodiac in Japanese tradition, tied to the new year and the shedding of old burdens. But more than that, it is a creature of earthly honesty, not mystical, not cunning, just present, fully here, fully alive. Boars communicate through soft grunts, snorts, and breathy huffs. They rub their scent onto trees to mark their presence. They wallow in mud to cool themselves and remove parasites, leaving behind natural pools that later serve birds, frogs, and insects. Even their paths, narrow trails worn over years, become access routes for other animals, quiet roads through the wilderness. And though they may not sing, or soar, or glow, they hold a rhythm all their own, the rhythm of hooves pressing into damp soil, the sound of roots splitting gently under a snout, the breath of the forest moving through a body shaped by time. You may never see one, but you may feel them just beneath the trees, just behind the leaves, a grounding presence, a heartbeat in the dark. And as you walk on, the ground feels more alive, because it is. Something curious, something watching, something that might be real, or might just be the forest playing tricks with shadow and wind. Because in Aokigahara, some creatures live not only in the world, but also in the stories we carry. Let's meet the Tanuki, the mysterious raccoon dog of Japan. In the fog-draped silence of Aokigahara, where every breath feels like a secret, there lives a creature who is equal parts animal and myth. The Tanuki, or Nycteroutes procyanoides vivarinus, is a real and tangible being, a relative of foxes and wolves, though it looks more like a raccoon with a fluffy coat and curious eyes. But in Japan, the Tanuki is much more than just an animal. It is a shapeshifter, a trickster, a symbol of playfulness wrapped in fur and shadow. The real Tanuki is a small, round-bodied mammal with short legs and a thick, plush coat that changes with the seasons. Lighter in spring, thicker and darker in winter. Its tail is bushy and expressive. Its face is marked with dark circles around the eyes, giving it a look of eternal amusement. It is nocturnal, often only stirring after dusk has settled fully across the forest. It moves with a strange softness, paws padded and deliberate, its body low to the ground. It rarely hurries and often stops to sniff the air, as if considering where the night might lead next. Tanuki are omnivores, eating everything from berries and insects to frogs, eggs, and fallen fruit. They forage quietly, snuffling through the underbrush with delicate sounds that disappear into the rain. And when they have eaten their fill, they curl into hollows and hidden dens, sleeping deeply and undisturbed. But the Tanuki is also a spirit of the in-between, between truth and illusion, between night and morning, between what is and what could be. In Japanese folklore, the Tanuki is said to be a master of disguise, able to change its shape at will, often appearing as a wandering monk, a beautiful woman, or a humble teapot. They are known for their laughter, their round bellies, their joyful mischief. But their stories are rarely cruel. The Tanuki plays tricks, yes, but always with a smile, always with a lesson. Stone statues of Tanuki can be found across Japan, round-bellied, wide-eyed, with a bottle of sake in one hand and a scroll or leaf in the other. They are symbols of luck, prosperity, and light-hearted living, a reminder not to take the world too seriously. And here, in Aokigahara, where the world can feel so hushed, so heavy, the Tanuki reminds us to smile, to notice the little things, a shifting shadow, a sudden breeze, a feeling that you're being watched, not with malice, but with curious amusement. The Tanuki does not want to be found, but it might let you see it, just once. It might let you think you saw it twice. It might sit behind that stone for a moment longer than expected, just long enough to make you wonder. It is real, it is not real, it is both. And as the rain falls again, steady and soft, you move forward, wondering if you've just shared a moment with something more than animal, or perhaps with the forest itself. Now let's shift our focus to the smallest, most constant residents of Aokigahara, the ones who never stop working, who never sleep quite the way we do, who build, hum, crawl, flutter, and decompose quietly in the background, holding the forest together thread by invisible thread. Let's step into the secret world of forest insects and undergrowth life. There are beetles here, thick-shelled, slow-moving, and ancient in their design. Some are glossy black, like polished stones. Others glimmer with metallic greens or coppery blues. They trudge over damp bark and disappear beneath moss. Many feed on decaying wood, breaking it down from solid to soil in a process that takes years. Others feed on fungi, shaping the spread of spores and fruiting bodies with every bite. Among them crawl the millipedes, long, coiled travelers, with dozens, sometimes hundreds of legs, moving in smooth, rippling waves across the ground. They are decomposers, quiet recyclers of fallen leaves and rotting logs. When threatened, they curl into perfect spirals, closed worlds of armor and instinct. There are ants too, building silent highways beneath the surface. You may never see the colony, but you might see a single ant on a stone, carrying a crumb, scouting a path, pausing in stillness before vanishing down into a crack in the earth. Their society is vast, coordinated, a forest within a forest. And then there are the butterflies and moths, fluttering briefly between ferns and flowers. Some appear only in spring, their wings delicate as mist. Others emerge in late summer, drawn to moonlight and wet stones. Their flight is not rushed, it drifts, it drapes the air like silk, and just as quickly as they arrive, they vanish into green. Among the trees, cicadas sleep beneath the earth for years, sometimes as long as 17, before emerging in warm seasons to sing their song. A vibration more than a sound, a pulse in the air, a reminder that time here does not move by clocks, but by rhythm, patience, and renewal. And tucked along leaves, hidden in the shadows, are the mantises, perfectly still, perfectly camouflaged. They wait, not with hunger, but with presence. A creature that moves only when it must, and never without intent. To many, insects are overlooked, passed by, forgotten. But here, in Aokigahara, they are the foundation of the forest's breath, pollinators, decomposers, soil builders, air sifters. They fill every inch of space you cannot see, feeding owls, nourishing moss, balancing the unseen cycles of life. They make no sound you can name, no face you might remember, but they are always here, and without them, there would be no forest. The rustle you heard in the leaves, that was life moving. The soft tap against your boot, that was the forest brushing past you. So take a moment to breathe in this smaller world, to feel not just surrounded by life, but connected to it. Even the smallest wings can stir the air enough to change the course of things. Let's close this journey, not with an ending, but with a return, a slow descent into stillness, into sleep, into the deepest parts of the forest, and the deepest parts of the self. You've walked far tonight. You've listened to the low calls of owls, watched the silent drift of flying squirrels, kneeled beside frogs no larger than your thumb, and stepped over stones worn smooth by 1,000 quiet years of rain. You've followed the snout of a wild boar through soft earth, met the watchful eyes of a fox, heard the laughter of a creature that may or may not have been real, and touched the velvet green of moss older than memory. And now, it is time to stop walking. You find yourself in a small clearing, surrounded by tall trees, each one patient and ancient. The air here is heavy with cedar and rain. The earth is soft, a bed of moss and soil and fern fronds. The sound of distant water trickles somewhere unseen. And above you, the trees hold back the sky, like hands cupped gently over your dreams. So you lay down, right here, right now. Your back finds the curve of the land, and the land accepts you without question. No thoughts are needed now. No movement, no words. You feel the weight of your body pressing downward, not heavy, but grounding, rooted, safe. Each part of you softens, your legs, your arms, your chest rising and falling in rhythm with the wind, your jaw unclenched, your brow smooth. Even the small muscles around your eyes relax, like petals folding for the night. You can hear your breath now, slow, software, like fog moving through trees, like the dormouse sleeping in its hollow, like the forest breathing with you. Let the sounds around you fade. The insects are tucking themselves into the earth. The frogs are still. The fox has curled beneath a bush, its tail over its nose. The owl has closed its eyes. Even the trees are dreaming. And you are part of this place now. You are not separate. You're not outside, watching. You are inside. You are the moss. You are the rain. You are the root. You are the breath. There is nothing to solve. Nothing to finish. No time to chase. Only this. Only the quiet. Only the dark. Let your thoughts drift like mist. Let them rise, then fade. Let them disappear like footsteps covered in falling leaves. You are safe here. You are cradled by the forest. You are held by the land, and there is nothing more you need to do. Sleep is not far now, just a few steps deeper, just one more breath, and another, and now, let go. The forest will keep watch until the sun returns, until you wake again. Good night, dreamer of moss and mist. Good night, soul of cedar and stone. Good night, traveller of roots and shadow. You are home.